Hey, it's Luke. So we all have ideas, feature requests, a list of things that would be really nice to have in Ableton Live. And I don't think people are even talking about Ableton 12 yet, but I've been thinking of things I'd be excited to see in a future update. So I'm pretty sure that no other DAW has all of these in it, or even most of them. So somebody should do it, and I hope it's Ableton. So I'd really like to see an easy way to incorporate a channel strip into each track. Right now, you need to choose whatever channel strip plugin you want to use. You drag it down, and then you can move other plugins around it and do your work. You can set it up so your channel strip plugin is in your default when you create a new MIDI track or a new audio track. But it would be really nice if there was an option in the track where you'd have some sort of a drop down or something where you could choose your default channel strip and decide if you want it at the beginning of your chain or at the end, and just have channel strips built into your workflow a little bit more seamlessly. Another thing I'd love to see is some sort of a quick render option. I work on a lot of tracks, and if I'm loading an older project, sometimes I don't remember what it sounds like or how far I got on it. And it would be really nice to be able to click a button and it would create a preview file, WAV or MP3, whatever, right in the project. So when you're looking through your files, you'd have just a quick preview that you could demo, listen to it, see if that's a track you want to work on, see how far you are, even move it to something else if you want to do a quick card test or whatever. It doesn't take hours. We can go here and export the audio. It's just that then you hit export, you need to choose a file name. It would be nice to have just a little button up here. You click on it, it exports a preview, and you're done. Now, staying on the export section, it would be really nice to be able to set your MP3 tags right in Ableton Live. For bigger projects, you're probably using some external tool. But if you're like me, if you're exporting an MP3 file, it's probably just a quick thing that you want to send to somebody. And it would be nice to be able to put the tags in right away so you can put in the title or comment or whatever. Okay, the next one is sort of a big one for a lot of people. It's ARA or ARA2. What that does is it lets you use some plugins more directly in Ableton Live. Things like Melodyne or Autotune or RX10. It lets you access and edit audio instantly without having to transfer it back and forth. And on the tuning side, some DAWs like Reason will have it built in. And at a minimum, that would be nice. But there's so much that you can do in Melodyne that would be nice to be able to do just smoothly and automatically in Ableton Live. Okay, this next one I've been thinking about for a while. It would be really nice to have the lyrics for the track you're working on up here at the top or something like that. So you could skip to whichever section you want to be working on. It would be super useful as well for voiceovers. And the great integration would be to be able to send those lyrics out to an external iPad. So when you're recording an artist, they have access to the lyrics matched to the track. A little bit like karaoke. It just happens so much on larger projects where you're trying to hone in on one specific section. And it could be really nice to have something like that. Okay, this next one I'd love to see is have access to a list here of the plugins you have. And I learned this very recently where if we right click here, you can go between your different plugins. So if you have a lot of them, you can automatically jump to whichever plugin, wherever it is in your chain. But that only works on that one track. It would be nice to have sort of an overview of your plugins on every track. Something like they have on Logic Pro and I think a few other DAWs as well, where you could select an EQ plugin on every track and then bypass all of them all at once and bring them all back in at the same time. If you can hear noise in the background, there's a fireworks show outside for some reason. So this next one is about the built-in Ableton synths. I'd love if they were expandable to look more like a bit of a plugin. So with synth plugins, you generally have a larger UI, but on the Ableton synths, you just have this section down here. And it would be nice if they had something like this. If you're using EQ8, you can hit this arrow here and it gives a bit more space to work with. Same thing with Spectrum. But on the synths, you're limited to the space down here. It would be really nice if they could be expanded and you could work with more stuff at once instead of having to go to different tabs back and forth. Now, this next one isn't a huge life changer or anything like that, but it would be nice to be able to randomize the scales in Ableton Live. So when you're starting a project in something like this, it's the Captain Chords plugin, you can choose your scale or you can choose randomize, and it'll choose a random scale for you. And you can change it if you want to minor, a major, or one of the pentatonic scales or whatever. So it's not a huge thing, but it would be nice for inspiration when you get a project started. Another thing I'd love to see is one-click shortcuts or macros. So right now, if I want to load up a drum rack or something like that, I can go and search and find it, or just go through the browser and choose it and bring it into the project. Or I can go on Ableton Push, and because I made it a favorite, I can just add an effect and go choose it pretty easily. But still, it would be nice to have a custom shortcut where I could press a button or have a combination of keys and it would load up a drum rack or the hybrid reverb or the echo or a synth or an EQ8, or have it launch a chain of things that you use often, like a delay, an EQ, a compressor, and kickstart. And in theory, you could group those effects and bring it in as an instrument rack. Actually, never thought of that. but still having a button or keyboard shortcuts to be able to bring that in easily would help you work a lot faster. So there you have it. That's my wish list for a future Ableton update. And in the meantime, let's go make some great music. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.